Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Kitchener's Great Places Awards. The City of Kitchener has 30 years of history honoring excellence in urban design and heritage. Kitchener's Great Places Awards celebrate excellence in urban design, placemaking, heritage conservation, and sustainability. It is important to celebrate projects that help Kitchener grow in a positive way that attracts new employers, residents, visitors, and students to our city. We thank project owners and their design teams for their creativity and innovation to making memorable places in Kitchener. And city staff and agencies who rolled up their sleeves and collaborated with the project team to make projects even better. Since the introduction of ION in the region of Waterloo and throughout the city of Kitchener, we've seen dramatic investments happen in our community. And so as we continue to evolve, we want to make sure that this is a great community that people can live, work, and play in for generations to come. So once again, thank you everyone for joining us this evening, and enjoy the Kitchener's Great Places Awards 2019.
The Mike and Pat Wagner Heritage Awards pay tribute to property owners, businesses, and individuals who have contributed to the conservation of the city's cultural heritage resources. Recipients are recognized in two categories: preservation and restoration, and rehabilitation and adaptive reuse. The first recipient in the preservation and restoration category is 920 Orr Court.
920 Orr Court was this farmhouse that was located just off of Huron Road in kind of the middle of nowhere. It was all farm fields. And it was only more recently that the land was acquired by Mattamy Homes, a developer who decided that it was time to develop the property. When they made their development applications, we required them to do what's called a heritage impact assessment, a heritage study, to look at whether the building had what's called design physical value, historic associative value, contextual value. And that study was done, and sure enough, it concluded that this is a cultural heritage resource. It's worthy of being conserved. It helps to tell the story about the rural area. Anything that was identified as a heritage attribute, they worked on, they restored, and where things were missing, they reproduced.
The second recipient in preservation and restoration category is 110 Water Street South.
So the property is at 110 Water Street South, just about a half a block away from Victoria Park itself. It's a lovely Queen Anne style yellow brick house. They've done some work over the years, fixing up the front porch. They recently rebuilt the chimney. Even though they have a higher efficiency furnace, you don't need a chimney anymore. Having that profile from the street makes it still look like it's the old house. And they also have renovated the original garage from the house, so it's nice to have all those features on that property. A lot of the houses, especially on this one block of Water Street South, are very original to when they were built 100 to 150 years ago. But I think this street in very close to downtown Kitchener is part of the authentic city that we live in.
The first recipient in the rehabilitation and adaptive reuse category is 300 Joseph Short Crescent.
This property was designated under the Ontario Heritage Act back in 2003. And the Betzner barn that's located on the property was constructed around 1830 by the original Mennonite pioneer family that settled in the area. So now surrounding this property is a contemporary residential subdivision. The original sliding doors and hardware have been incorporated into the adaptive reuse of this structure. And the property owners use some pine, board and batten to complement the surrounding area, and it's still sitting on its original stone fields foundation.
The second recipient in the rehabilitation and adaptive reuse category is 195 Joseph Street.
First time we went out to 195 Joseph, it looked like an abandoned factory, still full of old materials, and had a great work of water in the basement and issues with the envelope of the building, and seeing the concept renderings that Allied and Gensler proposed, it almost seemed out of this world that was all going to happen in a year. So I started dealing with stormwater management, City of Kitchener and planning department, and full steam ahead designing and building in parallel. We had to do a great deal of structural shoring throughout the project, and then working with our structural engineers day in, day out on how to restructure this building for its new modern use without crowding the space with structural members. So the team worked really well together with the interior design to stabilize the building with these great large glass features.
The Placemaking Award celebrates a feature or features that adds value to Kitchener's sense of place and community pride. The 2019 nominees are Ambrosia Corner Bakery, 324 Frederick Street, Splash Circle and the Boardwalk, 235 The Boardwalk, Charles Madison Mural, Midtown Messages, 149 Shanley Street, 8 Queen and Gowdy's Lane Activation, 8 Queen Street North. The 2019 Placemaking Award recipient is 8 Queen and Gowdy's Lane Activation.
Downtown Kitchener is really enjoying a revitalization period like never before. At 8 Queen and the Gowdy's Lane right beside, we now see people lingering with the lights and the picnic tables and the murals. People are able to go and just sit and have a coffee or eat their lunch or have a beer later, you know, when we have events downtown.
It's not actually a new lane, it's like a pretty historic lane in downtown Kitchener that runs parallel to King Street. So the stretch that we're specifically talking about is between Ontario and Queen Street, between two buildings. You can actually search Gowdy's Lane on social media and see all of these pages, like thousands of pictures of people using the space.
But it wouldn't have been able to happen without Voisin Capital that invested heavily in 8 Queen in reimagining what that property might be like.
The Sustainable Kitchener Award is given to a project that demonstrates innovation and exceptional design with respect to sustainability principles. The recipient of the 2019 Sustainable Kitchener Award is Bright Up Block Phase 2, 25 Bright Up Street.
When you compare different projects and talk about great places, there's a handful of sort of standard things that you look for. And they really did a nice job of taking an old industrial building, freshening it up, keeping the character, which is not always easy, retaining most of the structure and doing just a really nice job of blending a bit of old and new. Sustainability is a funny thing because there's so many pieces in the puzzle, and they are sometimes at odds one with another. If your budget is sensitive, you've got to often choose between these different needs. And do you choose location over performance? Do you choose performance over location? And all of these things are often in competition with one another. Materials are one of the puzzle pieces of sustainability, and choosing good materials is another one of these tricky topics because there's so many things to consider. When you look at a building from the outside, you think it's a shiny blue or a shiny green, but you have no idea what that means. That color actually means something pretty significant to people who design glass. And it does different things to the way that the light gets through. And you can have any kind of type of glass that's going to do things like keep the building warmer, or that's going to bend light so it bends further into the building. And these technologies can really do a lot of different things to help your project. So Google did evaluate a number of different technologies, and they looked at bouncing light deeper into their space, and they looked at just a number of different ways to actually change the glass from one side of the building to the other, because the south side of the building sees different type of heat from the sun than the north side. They really did plan this well and execute it well, and it's a great project. So I'm happy to see them get the award.
The Urban Design Excellence Awards celebrate projects that meet the city's urban design objective. Recipients are recognized in 4 categories: low-rise, mid-rise, high-rise, and civic. The recipient of the 2019 Urban Design Excellence Award low-rise is Catalyst 137 at 137 Glasgow Street.
Before the vision of the site came to be Catalyst, they were 2 disconnected things. So the building was an industrial building right next to a trail that was kind of isolated at the back of the site. And it is a significant property. So the property is as large as 18 football fields. It's that large. I think that the connection between Catalyst 137 and the Iron Horse Trail really drove home how it weaves well into the community.
Well, it was a former warehouse site. It came in for redevelopment to become a software hub. And my involvement from Parks was the Iron Horse Trail that abutted the back of the house next to it. The trail has been there for, I would say, about 25 years, since 1996. It was a former CN Rail site, so it truly was the back of house, and was converted into a trail. It was really sort of separated from the site, but it did exist. So to get from the edge of Waterloo all the way to Ottawa Street, in sort of the central area of the city, this is sort of right in the middle of that, and it allows that connectivity from Waterloo and from Ottawa Street all the way to this site.
The nominees for the Urban Design Excellence Award Mid-Rise are Bright Up Block Phase 2, 25 Bright Up Street, KW Rehabilitation Services Residential Building, 108 Sydney Street South, Midtown Lofts, 690 King Street West. The recipient of the 2019 Urban Design Excellence Award Mid-Rise is KW Rehabilitation Services Residential Building at 108 Sydney Street South.
Sydney Street is a quieter residential street, and the buildings for the most part are fairly small in scale. What stands out from this building is that it has certain design needs that require a certain amount of space, and also some design features for the population that it is catering to, supportive housing for adults with developmental challenges. As a result, the building has to be of a certain size. Notwithstanding that, it really fits into the surrounding area. The massing does fit in well with the neighboring properties, and even the tones, they're very muted, and they are earth tones in terms of the materials and colors that are the same type of colors and materials that you'd find in the surrounding properties.
The nominees for the Urban Design Excellence Award High Rise are Trio on Belmont, 460 Belmont Avenue West, 1 Victoria Street South. The recipient of the 2019 Urban Design Excellence Award High Rise is 1 Victoria at 1 Victoria Street South.
Downtown sort of focuses on City Hall, but we've also seen a shift of activity down to that corner at King and Victoria. So with the Ion stop being near the central station, the eventual multimodal hub being built on the one corner that's still vacant, Kaufman Lofts is an important project there, and the School of Pharmacy as well. So 1 Victoria contributes to that intersection, which has sort of been a really big hub of activity over the last few years since it's been constructed. That's where we want people living, working, playing, enjoying the city of Kitchener on the transit line. It's a very interesting building, and I think one of the things that I really appreciate about 1 Victoria is that it sort of continues the eclectic nature of downtown Kitchener. I think we should be doing more of that where we can to create that pedestrian experience and to really flesh out that environment.
The nominees for the Urban Design Excellence Award Civic are Grow Public School, 225 Thomas Lee Drive, Eden Oak Trail Park. The recipient of the 2019 Urban Design Excellence Award Civic is Eden Oak Trail Park.
Eden Oak is a new community, and like many of our new communities, we work with developers to embed parks and open spaces into those new communities through the subdivision process, and working with our developers to build the parks which will help serve the communities for years to come. First off, it has a fantastic setting, so it's on a slightly elevated setting, so it has fantastic views over the Grand River Valley corridor. But the second thing that was really unique about this is the developer really wanted to make sure that the park and open space really did serve the community, and so they stepped up and worked with the city to create a truly magnificent neighbourhood park for the community. People increasingly understand that communities are made up of much more than just the houses, the streets, the schools and the shops that we use on a day-to-day basis, but they're made up of all the green spaces and the environment within which we live. And I think the developer in this particular instance saw there was a particular added value to make their community unique by making sure that all those things were built from the onset, and really did welcome that community to start building roots and establishing roots in a new community right from the get-go.
The People's Choice Award is given to a project that receives the most community votes. It is a project that the community celebrates for making Kitchener such a livable city. The nominees for the People's Choice Award are Ambrosia Corner Bakery, Boardwalk Splash Circle, Bright Up Block Phase 2, Charles Madison Mural, 8 Queen and Gowdy's Lane, Eden Oak Trail Park, Grow Public School, Midtown Messages, 920 Orr Court, 108 Sydney Street South, 110 Water Street South. The winner of the 2019 Great Places People's Choice Award is 920 Orr Court.
The People's Choice Award is really important with regards to the Great Places. I think it shows that people are choosing who gets to win, and the community was engaged through online voting and as well through on-site visits, and I think it was important for the community to give their feedback and really choose the People's Choice Award. I think it's important to update the heritage homes and bring them into the community. I think it shows us where we came from and where we can go, and we can mix heritage with new, and it all comes together nicely. I'd really like to thank Kate and David Schooley for working with the Mattamy Homes and with the neighborhood to really make sure that this house was preserved, and all the work that they've done on the addition of the porch and the removal of the shed and the interior. I think incorporating it into the community is something that's just fantastic.
Named after W.H.E. Schmalz, the architect who designed Kitchener's first City Hall, Clock Tower, and many other local buildings, the Schmalz Award for Design Leadership represents the best overall project of Kitchener's Great Places Awards program. The 2019 Schmalz Award for Design Leadership is presented to 195 Joseph Street.
So the Schmalz Award really is intended to recognize sort of the best of the best, things that achieve on sort of multiple fronts that we're looking at through these design awards. And this project really entails a lot of those elements and made it stand out from the rest. The development services vision that we've worked over the last year with our development industry partners is a city for everyone, working together, growing thoughtfully, and building community. And I think that's really reflected through these awards.
It certainly created some really strong sight lines linking up from Victoria Street to the broader tannery redevelopment. What's been particularly interesting is how they needed to maximize the space. They were able to do that by excavating some of the surrounding dirt around the building, and through the use of glass and so on, bring light into the building and make the users of the building really feel welcome, no matter if they're on the main floor or in the lower level of the building. I'm really excited to see, as they explore the future use of the remainder of that property, what kind of buildings they might put on the site that complement this architecturally wonderful addition.
I think it's really important to celebrate good design, to sort of raise the bar as new projects come in, and really continue to build a great community. We know communities that are growing quickly are under pressure, and we really want to make sure that the city is designed well and built well and functions for all of its citizens. And so I think it's really important to really reflect and celebrate the successes that we have.